Hello, welcome back if you have seen my channels before, and welcome if you have not. So those who have never watched any of my channels, quick introduction about myself. So I'm 49, suffering or I'm currently going through perimenopause at the moment. I've probably been perimenopausal, so probably for up to close to a year, but I actually didn't visit my doctor till about maybe 4 months ago, and the breaking point for me was not being able to get any sleep. So I visited doctors, explained to them the symptoms, which included kind of bloatedness, lack of sleep, sudden achiness, and yeah, mood swings, and feeling quite emotional basically. So the doctor has prescribed me with Evorel, which is these. Whether you can see that. And then I had my 1 month review with the nurse, who identified then that I still have my cycle, which the doctor never really asked me, but I don't think it was particularly well, yeah, of course it was important, but the nurse kind of asked about my cycle, and I said yes, I do still have them. So she changed my prescription to include Evorel 50, otherwise known as Evorel Seki. So I didn't know what the difference in patches were. So basically, they during my cycle and a week after, I would have to be on the Evorel 50. And then after that, then I go back to the Evorel Conti. Now, I didn't really look into kind of the difference in them. I just did as I was told. So I'm just going to read these out to you. So the difference between these is that each patch contains a 3.2 milligram of estradiol. They both contain 3.2 milligrams, but the difference is that the Evorel 50 gives me an absorption rate of approximately 50 micrograms in 24 hours. 50 micrograms of estradiol in 24 hours, whereas the Evorel Conti gives me approximately 11.2 milligrams. It gives me an absorption rate of approximately 170 micrograms of norhisterone acetate in 24 hours and 50 grams of estradiol in 24 hours. So the Conti not only gives me estradiol, but it also gives me norhisterine acetate as well. So there's the difference. Never really looked into this, but now I know. Now, if I can remember correctly, norhisterone is, I don't know what it is. I just remember taking something for to prevent my cycle, basically. So I used to take it to delay my cycles if I was going on holiday or something like that. So I think that's what it is. Anyway, so those are the two patches. So what happens is I take, once my cycle comes on, I switch to the Evorel 50, and I do that for 2 weeks. I'll have 4 patches in the space of 2 weeks, and then once I've done the 4 patches, I then switch over to Evorel Conti, and then I do 4 patches for 2 weeks. So in terms of my cycles, previously they were very regular, very on time. I always knew kind of, when I was due on. It's every 20 days or every 3 to 4 weeks basically. And for the last 6 to 8 months, I missed 2 cycles. And then for the last 4 months, I had 2 cycles in the same month, basically in the same kind of 4 to 5 weeks space. Previously, I didn't suffer any PMTs. I was just very chilled, and I just knew that I was about to come on, have my cycle, and it was regularly pretty light, so I didn't really suffer any kind of, you know, accidents or anything like that. So but recently, leading up to my cycles, I would experience bloatedness, a bit of weight gain, I'd be hot and bothered in the night times, not so much sweats, just uncomfortable, you know, quite hot, and I'd feel a little bit more romantic too than usual, so which was good news for my partner, obviously. I'd experience 1 to 2 days of heavy flow, and then it'll go back to kind of the panty liner kind of flows. So I've just paused the video here because I wanted to share with you a very, very useful app that I use to track my mood swings. So as you can see on here, you can select, you know, when you're going through some anxiety or bloatedness or, you know, changes in mood, and you can kind of track that. And I suppose it helps you to manage, you know, certain times of the month or, yeah, whenever, so that you know, you're prepared for it, I suppose. It also helps my cycle as well, because sometimes my cycles can change, so I track when my cycle starts, when it ends, whether I'm experiencing a heavy flow or a light flow, whether I miss a cycle. So you can see here, as I'm going through kind of the different days of when I have experienced changes in my moods, for example. It also tracks the number of steps that you take on a daily basis. As I will explain later, I'm in a desk job, so I don't really do as many steps as I should. Unless I go on my hikes or when I go for long walks, for example. But you know, as you can see on this month, I've had 2 cycles in the same month. The feelings I'm going through, where I'm extremely flirty, and yeah, I can see month by month what I'm experiencing. Yeah, like I said, it's a very useful app. But yeah, very handy to track, you know, what you're going through, and then you'll know whether it's a pattern. For example, it's usually before I'm about to have a cycle, and yeah, it seems to be a certain period of the month, basically. The app is called P-Tracker, and I will put the link in my description. How has my moods been since being on the HRT patches? So I sleep better, which was a major thing for me. I don't suffer as much aches and pains. In fact, they're almost non-existent. But what I have experienced is very short periods of low intolerance and easily agitated as well. So as an example, my partner has 2 young children, teenage children, and there weren't any more active than normal. There weren't more you know, I'm trying to think, they're not any more kind of hyper as normal, or they were just being children, basically. But I found myself that I had to lock myself in a room, and barring the children from entering or even being in my personal space at all, and put my headphones on just to kind of shut off the activities that were going on, the noises that were being created, the questions, and I just had to shut them off, basically. And I recognised that I wasn't a nice person to be around. And as this became a little bit more frequent, I had to find a way of managing this. So how did I manage this? So you talk to your partner, you talk to the people that's around you. So I was explaining to my partner, listen, you know, I am agitated, I've got a very short and low intolerance level at the moment. I am going to find the smallest of things really annoying, and I'll probably get angry about it. So what I would do is, you know, you tell your partner, you tell your family, you talk to your friends about it, acknowledge it. and acknowledge and understand that it can't be controlled sometimes. Take yourself off somewhere, to the library, to the coffee shop, to the sauna or to the gym, put your headphones on, you know, just switch off a little bit, go on a train ride even, or just a drive to anywhere. It doesn't have to be any specific, you don't have to have a destination, you don't even have to have an agenda, just go off somewhere, you know, to a local park even. Somewhere where you can be in your own thoughts, have your own space. And I think the key thing for me was to breathe. You know, I don't know about anyone, but kind of being in your own space and know that you're breathing and not suffocating made a huge difference for me. So I enjoy the great outdoors. I like hikes, I like doing some activities, I go paddle boarding. And when I was kind of going through that really low intolerance level, when I recognised that I wasn't a nice person to be around, I took myself on my first ever solo hike, first solo camping trip, and the first time to somewhere I've never been before, to North Wales. I didn't want to take the dog, but I felt really tight, and so I took her with me as well. And I just needed to be in an open space on my own where I could shut my thoughts out or silence my thoughts, and just enjoy kind of the fresh air, being out in the open, being out in the space, and just absorbing nature and just listening to birds, leaves rustling, you know, the wind just blowing past, and then sometimes just silence. And for me, that was luxury. And while I was out there as well, camping, and it was cold, I slept for about 8 to 10 hours. And again, for me, that was luxury. I came back refreshed. I was calmer. I was definitely nicer to be around as well. I was happier. So I am in a desk job, and I generally work from home and go into the office, you know, once or twice a week. And so being in a desk job as well, I suffer from, you know, shoulder aches and pains, and sometimes I find that is even more noticeable as I'm getting older. And so I do some simple stretching before I go to bed. If you Google or YouTube kind of bedtime yoga, you'll find a couple of videos that helps you, and nothing, you know, strenuous. It's literally just stretching your shoulders out and kind of doing some, just loosening up your muscles. And I can feel the pain in my shoulders now as I'm talking. So I'll be doing some yogas tonight. But I think the key things that I'm learning as I'm going through perimenopause is that you need to acknowledge when you're feeling these changes, whether it's in your mood or whether it's in your body, and share this with people around you, with people that you love, whether it's your friends, whether it's your family, or whether it's you know, your partner, husband, etc. Share what you're going through. I think sharing that load, if you like, helps you manage what you're experiencing, and go, you know, at the moment going through this change in your life, acknowledging it, that, you know, sometimes it can't be helped, and once you acknowledge it, then you learn to manage it as well. So, you know, you plan to manage it. So when you're going through these changes, when you know that your tolerance level is low, you kind of tell people around you so that they know that, you know, how you're responding to them isn't always their fault, but for them to be understanding as well, and not to take it personally, I suppose. I highly recommend taking some me time. I found that personally that's helped. Now, some people taking me time might be around friends, going on a short break or a holiday or anything like that. But having that me time away from the day-to-day helped me kind of reset, I think is the right word to use on this occasion, because that's what I felt I needed to do. I needed to reset. I needed to kind of, you know, be away from people, just silencing my thoughts and just resting my head, and just, yeah, and just refreshing. So yeah, those are my advice. It's obviously different for every person, but I think the key thing is, you know, acknowledging that, you know, you can't help these changes sometimes, that, and share what you're going through, and then planning away a method to manage when you are experiencing these symptoms, if you like. So anyway, I hope that's helped. Be interesting to hear kind of what personal journeys you're experiencing as well, how it compares to mine. I know, like I said, each person is different, but the key thing is to, yeah, know that it can't be helped. Go to your doctors. There is lots of help out there. Talk to people, talk to, you know, experts, do some research, don't overthink, and yeah, good luck with everyone. I'll try and give you another update at some point or other, yeah, as I'm experiencing more changes as well. I think for me, I'm just very, very lucky that my partner is very understanding, and he's more concerned about my general well-being than what impacts it has on him. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.